Now, what happens tonight?
Well,
you have the Hawks and the Knicks. And the Hawks seem like they really almost want to bomb this game.
Just like it seemed like they wanted to bomb last night's game against Toronto.
Which, by the way, Atlanta's now in the 6th seed. And
well, yeah, the
Chicago's
Bulls
back up to the
Bulls
5.
own the tiebreaker.
Which you should be happy about because now you get your Bulls
Nets. Yeah. Oh, I am. Trust me, I am.
But if the Bulls win tonight over the Wizards like they should at home, and the Knicks without Melo, without Chandler, without Martin, without Stoudemire, who are all not playing tonight but should be ready
and without
for the playoffs.
Wallace, some people actually heard rumors Wallace might play tonight. I'm like, okay, that came out of nowhere, but just figured I'd throw that out there too. Anyway, back to your line of thought. Sorry.
The Hawks, if they happen to lose to the Knicks, or beat the Knicks, and somehow your Bulls get beat by this Wizards team who is vastly improved with John Wall in the lineup.
And they're going to be playing for pride. The Wizards are not going to go into this game with the intentions of trying.
How disappointed would you be if the Hawks won and your Chicago Bulls happen to lose to the Wizards on the last game of the season at home?
Extremely disappointed. I would. It would be. I actually am excited for tonight's basketball games. Last game of the year. It's been a couple years since the final game of the year has mattered for Chicago, but it's always been for a good reason. They've been pretty much locked in the 1 or 2 seed for the most part. So it's not like I've been upset that the last game of the year hasn't meant anything. What I will say when it comes down to the Hawks-Knicks game is I feel bad for any fans that paid for the tickets to that game before this game got here because you're really going to watch the battle of backups. The Hawks last night, none of their starters played for more than 21 minutes. Al Horford didn't play at all. They ate a 20-point loss to the Toronto Raptors, and I think that brings up a good discussion, or at least a decent question. Do you think it's right for Atlanta to actually purposely lose games to get a lower seed? They know they're in the playoffs, so they're not fighting for an actual playoff spot. All they're fighting for is either the 5 or the 6 seed. If they get the 6, they would avoid Miami all the way until the Eastern Conference Finals. Which seems, I guess, to be their goal based on what they did last night. So do you think that's cool? Do you think that's acceptable that a team is willing to do that? Let's bomb our final game or two so that we can avoid the best team in our conference for as long as possible?
Listen, if it works up better for them matchup-wise, why wouldn't you try and go for the better matchup?
Because you still got to get out of the first round. And wouldn't you, I don't know about you. I'd rather play Brooklyn than play Indiana. In a 7-game, game every other night type of series, I'd rather play Brooklyn than play Indiana. Indiana's going to beat at you. They're going to get under your skin. They're going to annoy you. They're going to, don't get me wrong. Brooklyn's got talent and they can beat teams. I'm not saying that they can't, but I think Indiana's more intimidating than Brooklyn. If I had to pick between the two teams, I'd rather play in the first round. So I don't like it. I'm not a fan. Just not a fan of the idea. To me, if you have an opportunity to be a higher seed, you take the opportunity to be a higher seed. How do you know that if you take the 6th seed, Chicago ends up with the 5? Now, I'm completely speculating here. Do not see this happening at all. What happens if the Bulls and the Hawks reach the Eastern Conference Finals? Now, you bombing those 2 games cost you home court advantage against the Bulls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get the idea. And do I think the Bulls make the Eastern Conference Finals? No. Astounding? No. Big? No. Now, do I want them to? Of course. Do I think it? No. But if they do, and Atlanta somehow gets there too, all of a sudden, these 2 games that you decide to bomb at the end of the year cost you home court advantage in a 7-game series against the Chicago Bulls. So Game 7 comes in that series, and all of a sudden you're like, crap, we're back to Chicago instead of being home in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, and it's a game they're playing. And if that's what they decide they want to do, then that's what they decide they want to do. If Atlanta and Chicago both lose tonight, Chicago will keep the 5 seed. I believe Chicago owns the tiebreakers. But, bottom line is you're dive bombing a season, your last 2 games of the year to avoid Miami in the second round, yet it could cost you home court advantage in the third round. And it could actually cost you home court advantage in the second round as well. What if Boston beats the no, never mind. Don't listen to me. Anyway, I'm just getting overly angry with the Atlanta Hawks for bombing this season. Even though I want my Bulls out of the 5 seed, I don't like the mindset behind it. It's like NFL teams not playing starters, with the last game or 2 left because they really want to get that number 1 pick. Or, the NBA teams that at the All-Star break know they have, they're 20 games out and they're like, screw it.
But do you see it as them bombing, or do you see them as just resting players before the playoffs?
I see it as them pretty much saying we'd rather be the 6th than the
Really?
than
But
the
then would you,
3 or
I'm
the
just
5.
saying, more than likely Durant's not going to play a lot tonight. Melo's not going to play tonight. A lot of the superstars aren't playing because
Seed is locked up.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, when it cuts down to this point of the season, wouldn't you rather rest your guys knowing, hey, listen, we've already secured a playoff spot?
If I know exactly where I'm at and who I'm playing, then yeah.
Why would you want to fight just for the 5 seed? Because there really isn't a big difference between the 5 or the 6.
Well, I think I'd rather play Brooklyn than Indiana. And my biggest thing is if their mindset is we want to avoid Miami in the second round, is what really bothers me. Because you're going to lose your last 2 games of the year.
How do you know that was their mindset?
No, I don't know, but that's what it comes across as. And that's what I'm trying to say is if that's your mindset, you're sitting there saying, well, whatever, we'll take we're going to take the 6th seed, so our last 2 games of the year don't mean anything. So our fans that paid to watch us last night in Atlanta, they didn't get anything that they paid for. And secondly, to me, that's just complete disrespect. If I'm the Pacers, I just want to go at them.
You got to get mad at New York. You got to get mad at all these teams that are resting guys.
Why? Their seed is locked.
But what I'm saying is, all those fans that paid for those tickets, now they're going there to see a lesser product.
But as a fan of the Miami Heat, you knew a week and a half ago that your team was locked into the number 1 seed of the entire playoffs. You're not worried about anything that they're doing. So odds have it you didn't get up.
You knew that going into the season, so why would you show up to any of the games?
You did not know. I mean, it was extremely expected, but it's not like you knew it. Let's be serious. I mean, if LeBron goes down with a bad injury, all of a sudden that team turns into, a 50-win team instead of 60-plus. It's that, I mean, you don't know. Just like to me, Atlanta's, we want to avoid Miami in the second round. How do you even know you're getting there?
But again, that's why I think you're just assuming. You're assuming that's what Atlanta's saying.
I am assuming. I won't argue. There's no fact to anything I'm saying right now other than the fact that last night none of their starters played more than 21 minutes. Al Horford didn't even play. And, it's not guaranteed that they're going to play tonight either. And if that's the case, then you can't sit here and tell me that they weren't cool with the idea of having the 6th seed. Like you said, though, it could be the complete opposite spectrum. And that's why this show is always better with 2 people. Because I'm looking at it from this point of view, and you're giving the other point of view of saying, hey, they might just want to get freaking healthy. Who cares where they are? They know they locked up they have a playoff spot. Unlike the Lakers and the Jazz, who are 2 teams that don't know they're in the playoffs until tonight's games are over. I can't argue with you on that at all. But what I can say is that it comes across to me as they rather have the 6th than the 5 because they can avoid Miami in the second round.
Yeah.
Where if you're a Chicago, a Boston, New York, or an Indiana, you could care less about when you play Miami.
But see, I don't see it as that because I don't think Atlanta gets out of the first round either way.
I don't
end
either.
up in the 5 or the 6. I don't think Atlanta gets out of the first round either way.
I actually don't either.